Welcome to another episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. Again, I am so thankful that you chose to join us today. I know you're busy. I know you've got lots going on in your businesses. So thank you for taking some time from your busy day and joining us. Please welcome my guest today is Travis Lee from 3D Mail Results. And in pure um, transparency, I have been a customer of Travis and his dad for, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. A
Almost since we
long
started. Yep.
time.
Yep.
Long time. I
100%.
have bought so many fun gadgets that I have used to send out to prospects and clients and things along the way. And I will be the first to attest that direct mail is so much fun to do and fun to receive. So, with that, welcome, Travis.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you about direct marketing, direct mail, wherever else this may lead, and hopefully give your listeners a few little gems that they can take home with them.
I'm going to start right out the gate, even though I fully believe it, and I'm going to play a little devil's advocate and say,
Sure.
but Travis, everybody does everything digital. Why are you wanting to mail something?
That's a great question. It's usually the question that starts out with some of these types of deals. Um, I'll have some stats for you. I'll give them to you here in a second. But the fact that how you frame the question, everyone's going digital, that's reason enough to do things that aren't in the digital space, right? So, like when everyone's running one way, you should maybe at least look back and say, why are we all running this way and is it smart? Now, that goes for like
A
lots of
lot.
things in business and lots of things in life beyond just your marketing. But let's focus in a little bit. So all these numbers come from the latest USPS survey that they do. They do it every 5 years. So this one's these are from 2020. However, I don't think they've changed that much. In about 6 months, we'll have brand new numbers because they do it every 5 years. But here's why we want to be doing direct mail today. First off, 80% of people say they look forward to seeing what's in their mailbox. 80% of people. That's young,
Wow.
old, male, female, doesn't matter. I don't know very many people that would say they're excited to see what's in their inbox or what ad they get served on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or wherever they may be, right? So just the acceptance level, like they want to see it, they want to get it. 70%, 73% of US consumers prefer direct mail for brand communication because it allows them to read the information at their own convenience. So 3 and 4, just about, they want that tactical, physical stuff to hold on to. And like what I like to tell people is, when you get a coupon in the mail and you want to use it, you hold on to it, right? It goes on the
Yep.
refrigerator, it goes on a cork board, it goes in the little file where okay, what are we having for dinner tonight on Friday? How many people have ever printed off a coupon and then put it up on the cork board, put it on the refrigerator? They don't do it,
I never
right?
have. No.
Right? So it's this tactical thing that people like that kind of goes back to our first thing. 66% of direct mail is open. So still two-thirds of mail, greater than two-thirds of mail is still opened.
Let me
And
stop you for a second. Right
yeah,
there, that includes the boring envelopes that you know are junk mail.
yes, exactly. So
Wow.
that's, 100% of birthday cards are opened and 0% of the obvious junk mail is open and so yeah, you're exactly right. You've got this great what attention grabbing thing that we have, right? Just think about TV. Think about how different we watch TV. You used to have to watch 100% of the commercials. Now you just skip over them or you watch them on demand or whatever, right? So we're getting people to hold on to it. And I'll give you one more. I've got more I could do, but let's give one more. Just why are we using direct mail today? The average shelf life for direct mail is 17 days. So on average, someone will get something in the mail, hold it for 17 days. Now, of course, there's magazines in there and people hold those for weeks or months at a time. And then, but on the other side, there's, the obvious junk mail that you described earlier, and that's getting trashed. But on the whole, we're going to hold it for 17 days. The average inbox time is where is it? Is 2 seconds for direct email, right?
Delete,
So it's
delete,
by the
delete.
yeah, exactly. So What is this to say? It's to say this should be a part of your marketing mix, right? No business can survive wholly and fully on one media. And
Right.
that's all the internet marketing and anything you want to put under there, SEO, pay per click, social, whatever else you're doing, that all just falls under the roof of digital marketing. If you're not doing other things, all it takes is one of those programs, one of those platforms, one of those things to say either I don't like you or I don't like your message, or you know what, we're just going to do away with this altogether. And now you're sunk. So this is designed to be, I do all those things. I do email. We're on
I know you
social
do.
media. We're on all those platforms. So this is a tool in that toolbox to use. It's not something to replace it all. It's used to add to and reinforce those other things as well. So think of it that way. Not the toolbox itself, it's a tool in that box.
A couple months ago, I got this blue metallic looking
Yeah.
envelope in the
Mm-hmm.
mail. And
Yep.
it ultimately had a book in it, but it was, 6 by 9 type size type of thing. I looked at that pretty blue envelope and pulled it out of the stack of the
Yep.
mail, opened it and went, and I can't remember who, but somebody had one of my podcast guests that actually mailed me their book.
Yeah.
But I actually pulled it out of the pile because it was pretty and blue and shiny. And the rest of it, I just sat it aside till I looked at that. And I have saved that envelope because it had such an impact on me.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of jaded because I've been doing this for a long time,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it still got through to me and caused me to open it immediately because it was different.
And that I think brings up a good point is when most people think of direct mail and when most people think of their results of direct mail, it's usually because they're doing Me Too type marketing, right? So it looks like everybody else's. Everyone's doing it. The dentist down the street is doing a postcard. The roofer down the street is doing a postcard. The plumber down the street is doing a postcard. Well, I guess that means I should do a postcard. Well, maybe, maybe not, right? There's appropriateness for all those types of, you know, the media of direct mail has hundreds of different ways we could implement it. But the big thing is for most of us is to stand out like that blue shimmery, and I know exactly the one you're talking about. It almost looks like bright glimmery gift wrap, right?
Yeah,
It's
or
kind
like
of
the back of a Mylar balloon, that type of
exactly.
thing. It
Yeah,
caught
yeah,
my
yeah.
attention so fast, and I thought, Diane, you should be immune to that kind of stuff. And it still caught me. And I still have that envelope.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing with direct mail that you're able to do that is very hard in other media. And that is to get and gain that attention simply at a quick visual glance. I can get my stack of mail and it can be at the home, it can be at the office, it can be the home office, wherever I'm working from or wherever I happen to get my mail. That visual cue, that visual thing that stands out, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of the ways that we do this, is something that is very hard to do unless you have a physical thing to hold. And in internet marketing space, they call it an interrupter. What can you do to interrupt them? And it's typically some kind of clickbaity thing in the first 5 seconds of a video or something like that. They're feeding an alligator, and then they transition to whatever their thing is, right? That has nothing to do with feeding the alligator. We fed the alligator because we had to get attention, right? Well, direct mail with that tactical stuff, the ability to use different modalities, right? Different colors, different sizes, different shapes, different things. We're now able to cut that clutter. And when you can cut the clutter, you have a chance, right? We always say the hardest thing in marketing is to get attention. And if you can get attention, you have a chance.
I know early on, I remember reading in your newsletters and your emails and
Yeah.
things like that about how your piece of mail needs to slide off the top
Yeah.
because it can't stay in the stack. And I know from myself over the years, I've mailed out your bank bags, I've mailed out your bags of money, I've mailed out your stretchy $100,000 bills, I've
Yeah.
mailed out pill bottles, I've mailed out safes, I've mailed out all these things. I've got your foot to get your foot in the door. I've got all these little things.
I got some of them sitting here. So there's our little foot here. I'll hold it in front of my blue shirt so my screen doesn't fuzz it. But
And
yeah,
when you mail those things, I always get a response.
I mean, so you're exactly correct. It's part of that pattern interrupt. And so you mentioned the pill bottle. So here's our, sorry, I got my fuzzy. Here's the pill bottle. I mean, this is like a pill bottle you get at the drugstore when you go to pick up your medications.
Mhm.
We actually will put postage and a label right on this, put our message inside, and to your point, what can stack on top of this? Like, so if I got another envelope or I got more paper, this has to sit on the top of the stack. Same with the little foot. You'd mentioned mailing the feet before. Whenever that stack of mail shows up, and you can be the first thing people touch, feel, interact with, it all goes back to gaining that attention, right? So imagine what I like to tell people is, let's say you're, remember back in the day when we had door-to-door salesmen and people would actually go up and down the street. Now if anybody knocks on your door, it's like, what's going on? Who's knocking on my door? But
Yep.
like, 20 years ago, people used to knock on the door and sell you stuff. Well, imagine you're I don't care what you're selling the pots and pans, and you come to find out that the vacuum cleaner guy was just through here 5 minutes before you. Your chances of success are almost zero because they've already heard the pitch for the thing, even though it's a different thing, and they're done. They don't need to be sold anything else, right? Same idea. So now you get that stack of mail, and yours is the first thing they met. Your message is the first thing they read. By the time they get down to the bottom to the junk mail that everyone else is sending out, you've already got them. So it matters to get the attention, hold the attention, and then have their attention first. Yeah, you take your kids to a theme park, right? And they all want to buy the very first thing they see when they walk into the store, and you're like, well, maybe that's not the thing you want. Maybe let's go look around. And well, that's the one I want. And so you end up getting the thing that they want right away. Same idea. We want that first impression. We want to be the first person they interact with when they get that stack of mail.
And I think there's also a little bit of we like surprises, we like presents,
Hmm.
we like those things. And when you get this, let me use your words of lumpy mail,
Yeah.
ooh, what's inside of there? I'm curious. I want to open it up. Um, they're not looking at it through the jaded eyes of, oh, it's going to be another
Yeah.
ad of some sort. What did he send me a foot? What in the world is
Yes.
that all about? So then they'll go investigate.
Yeah. And I guess we should clarify a little bit too. We're talking, you and I've been, like you said, you've been buying our stuff for years. What we mean when we're talking lumpy mail, we call it 3D mail, so three-dimensional mail. We're literally talking, like I said, with this pill bottle. It has three dimensions. Most people send out postcards. Most people send out envelopes. There's a time and a place for all of that stuff. We use it, our customers use it. But sometimes you've got to send something that has a little more oomph to it, right? So we send out what we call these self mailers. So these little pill bottles, we call them a self mailer because we literally put the postage and the label on it, and it arrives in the post in your mailbox just like this. You had mentioned the little foot. Well, these little feet we can't just mail. So we put them inside of an envelope and we call that an enclosure. So we've got enclosures and we've got self mailers. And so now imagine this shows up with a sales letter with it inside of a cardboard Tyvek type of envelope, and it's puffy out and it's maybe a little wrinkled because it got beat up a little bit in the post in the getting delivery in the post office. And now they open up this letter and they see this foot and it says, hey, Mr. Prospect, I'm trying to get my foot in the door. Right. And so, I've had all kinds of different industries use this type of thing to get attention because that's ultimately what we want. If we don't have attention, we can't make the sale.
And you can use them in other environments as well, not just in the mail.
100%.
Back earlier in my years of doing business, I did a lot of, I'll use the word trade show loosely.
Yeah.
It was more
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
chambers putting on,
Mm-hmm.
their business fairs and things like that. Um, and I would carry a certain amount of that type of stuff to those events. And people was like, well, why do you have a bank bag laying on
Yeah.
your table? What does that have to do with who you are?
Yeah.
And so it opened the door for some conversation. That was before your foot came out, so I didn't have any feet to carry with me. But it's a conversation starter, whether it's in the mail or in person
Yeah.
or that type of thing. It's a conversation starter. I've mailed out your compass. I've mailed out magnifying glasses.
Yeah.
I've mailed out just anything I can think of because you make me go to the dollar store every so often and just peruse the aisles. What
Hmm.
can we put in that would give it some feel to it when you go to mail something out?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point. Wherever you want and need to get attention, and you've got like literature you want to get in people's hands or whatever. So, I mean, to your point, I mean, we do the same thing. Sometimes they're out and out trade shows, and sometimes they're little chamber meetings. Sometimes it's out at the county fair, and you've got your window company, and you have your booth there, right? And everything in between. And you imagine that same scenario, right? Where instead of going to the mailbox and getting these 6 or 8 or 10 things out of the mail, this person's walking around a convention center floor and they've got their little tote bag that all the vendors give them so they can put all their stuff inside. And they walk around for 4, 5, 6 hours and they collect all this stuff. And boy, you sent a pill bottle or, I got, like I said, I brought my props. So we got the bank bag and you'd mentioned that. Now imagine I'm putting stuff in this bank bag. It gets attention as they show up to my booth or my wherever it is, my event, doesn't matter. And now they're collecting information and now we hand them this thing and they go back to the hotel and we've all done this. You take the bag and you shake it upside down and it all comes out and it's like, oh, that's right. This was the person that did the bank bag or this was the person that, and I mean, that's a great, perfect illustration of getting attention in an otherwise, otherwise in a place where there's just 9,000 things competing for their attention.
Yeah. So I think if you think outside the box a little bit, you can find lots of uses for these over and above direct mail. But we're here to talk more about
Yeah,
direct mail
for sure.
today.
Well, just to your point, we don't have them anymore. Our manufacturer stopped producing them. We used to have these little tin plate treasure chests, and you may have even seen them over
Oh,
the
yeah.
years.
Yep. I've had a couple of those.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was a kid's piggy bank, but it's still locked and opened like a treasure chest. I'd have a roofer when he'd be in a neighborhood, he'd do his 5 house rule, right? So he'd have, he's work cleaning a roof, replacing a roof, whatever he's doing to that house. And then the 6 to 10 houses around it, he would go and put these little treasure chests on the doorsteps. And the whole thinking was protect the biggest treasure you have, your roof. Or not your protect the greatest asset you have, your home, and it all starts with your roof. And
Okay.
so now we've got this treasure chest. So we're connecting everything for them, right? You know, we're not just putting a little treasure chest in this case or a pill bottle and, calling it good. We're tying it into it as well. So we're going to cure your roofing headaches and you could put that. Now, obviously, his leads on those jobs, they'd knock on the door and they'd try to have a conversation. But as we just discussed, nobody answers their door, nobody answers cell phones, nobody answers phones. So we leave, 9 times out of 10, he's leaving it on the doorstep. But that's another great example of how can you use this modality to get that attention?
I love your safes because in my world, I'm all about putting extra profits back in somebody's bottom line.
Yeah,
So why not give them a safe that they can store their extra money in? And
exactly.
so you
Yep,
can tie that one in so easily to what I do.
exactly.
And people get a kick out because it's just a little kid's plastic safe. It's not like it's
Yes.
really going to hold anything. But the idea is there. Let's put that extra profit. Let's put it away. And here's a safe way place to put it. Here's a safe.
Yeah, and I love that idea. And there's really not there's not really I get asked all the time, what's your favorite piece or what's the most successful piece or what's the piece that's going to be the best for me? And the answer is usually, well, there's no one thing that is like a magic wand that makes this all work. It's a combination of kind of what is the message we want to get across? So for you, it's putting more money into the bottom line. So like all these money things are perfectly appropriate. Well, that might not be appropriate for a window replacement company or a roofer or a shingles and siding guy. Maybe we cure headaches. So we cure that headache that you have. We cure that problem. These are relatively new. You might not have seen this one. We have these little life rings now because we're going to be your life ring. We're going to be
I
your,
saw that.
we're going to help you out of a sticky situation. So here's, I'm kind of spitballing here, but let's say you're a plumbing company and you're working in an area, and I won't get the words exactly right. I am not a plumber, so excuse me if I get them wrong. Um, but let's say that intake that goes into the house is all clogged and nasty, and you got to come and have the guy out and sweep it and replace it, right? The thing that goes out to the city sewer line or whatever it may be. Well, if that guy's having a problem, there's probably multiple other houses around him that are going to either have had or will have the same problem, right? Because homes are built very much the same in most areas, and as they age they have the same problems. So one of the ways you could do this is using a customer you already have, taking what you know about them and their geography and what's going on at their location, and now send direct mail to those other houses, right? The 5 house rule, most people are knocking on doors, but we could take that 5 house rule and we could send it to the 100 houses around them, send this little life ring and say, hey, we can be your lifeline so that your septic doesn't back up or this or that or the other, because you knew that person in that same neighborhood had that issue. And we could expand on there forever. But there's lots of ways you could, tie the message to the thing and what you want them to visually think of when they think of you.
Right. I love your boomerang
Yeah.
for those types of businesses as well, because especially for a roofer or maybe an electrician who doesn't have a repeat callback right away.
Hmm.
You really don't see a roofer with a subscription model too often. It just, but the boomerang is after so many years, how about you reach back out again?
100%. So
And
that's
that
exactly how
boomerang
we
is a
use it.
great way to do that. Is
Yep. So we say we want you back. So to your point, again, I won't get the verbiage or whatever exactly right, but if you install a new HVAC system for somebody and now they need to have some kind of service on it, right? I got air conditioning. We need service every once in a while. The only reason I'm going to know to call the glass guy is to go out there after there's a problem, and maybe there's a magnet on there, maybe not. But now let's say it requires a 2 year reconditioning, whatever it is. We can send out a boomerang. Hey, we want you back. We installed your HVAC system. It needs service every X months. Give us a call back. We'll come on out and we'll get it serviced and tuned right away. There's all different ways that you can do that, right? I mean, I know we're not talking about dentists here, but I mean, that's like the most obvious one, right? Everyone goes to the dentist every 6 months. Well, if you don't show up in month 6, well, I've got to send out a boomerang because we need you back because you haven't come in. Almost every business has those kind of internal built-in timetables
yeah.
where somebody should have come back, right? So the dentist every 6 months. If you're a diner who serves the lunch crowd, your best customers might be in there once or twice a week. And so if Diane comes in every Wednesday and Diane misses a Wednesday, boy, we better get something in the mail for Diane right now. You gotta have a system to do all that. And we can talk about that if you want. But that's the idea. That's where are the creative places we can use direct mail to maybe spur that person on a week earlier, a month earlier, a year earlier than they otherwise would have kind of taken action on their own.
Another one of your items that I like is the worry doll.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Especially,
think I have that one here as a prop.
okay,
So,
especially for maybe, like you said, that repeat business, somebody who usually comes in on a specific type timetable
yep,
and they've missed one or two of those cycles. There goes your worry doll. Yeah,
yep,
we're worried. We haven't seen you. Are you okay? Just
yep.
checking in on you, type of thing.
We use it with there. We also use it for unconverted leads.
Okay.
So, just to give a quick, the 10-second overview, someone calls you, you you capture their information, their name, their address, their email, whatever you need to do it, and then you get the inevitable, well, I'll call you back, or I'll be back, or right. You've got the 1,000 excuses they all use to not use your services right now. Now you can say, hey, we're worried about you. You contacted us about ABC, septic flush, whatever. and we're worried about you. We never got out there to help you out here, so now you use a little worry doll. So we use same idea, kind of a little different tactic.
Right.
Oh yeah, our stretchy
There's
hundred
your
dollar bills.
stretchy $100 bills, or yeah, $100 bills. My husband actually put one of these in his wallet and he gave it to somebody like it was change. And the person touched it because it's got some give and weird
Yeah,
feels,
yeah, yeah,
and they dropped it like it was a snake or something. He
yeah.
had too much fun with it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I like those because almost any business can help somebody stretch their money a little further with
exactly.
whatever program that we've got going.
Yep.
Whether it's a electrician, plumber, roofer, it doesn't matter. We can stretch those dollars.
I
And
love
it
it.
feels really funny when it's in an envelope too. They can feel there's something in there, but they don't quite know what it is.
And that's a great example of an enclosure, something that goes inside an envelope, but it doesn't add any postage cost because it's still sitting nice and flat in that envelope. And to your point, you know this when you get them, you pick up that envelope and there's immediately something a little like it's not squishy,
But it's not solid.
but it's not solid exactly, right? And so now, the curiosity kills the cat. What's in this thing? What is it, right? So again, all this is a way to cut that clutter, get the attention, and make sure we get that thing opened. Because if we don't get it open, I tell you what, I would love it if I could send cheap little dirty postcards to a zillion people and get a response. I would love it. That's just not the environment we're living in anymore. You've got to get that attention. You've got to do things that just kind of break up their everyday so that you can get the attention for 1 second and then 30 seconds and then 2 minutes. That's the name of the game.
Your priority mail envelopes are amazing that way because they look so important and so
Yeah.
official when they come in the mail.
Here we go. So you're all standing in front
Yeah,
of it.
your
Yes.
urgent letter. I have used those so many times over the years, and they do get opened. Because I get people saying, "You got me, I opened it." And
Yep. So
yeah.
those were what we love about those is again, you get that high impact, but without adding any extra cost to a postage. So these are still going to go out for a postage stamp, which is great, right? So anytime you can do something unique and different and still play within like the USPS's first class letter rules, that's all the better, right? And so I showed you the 9 by 12 version. We have a 6 by 9 version as well. A little bit cheaper, a little bit less to mail. As a big general rule of thumb, we'll use the 9 by 12s more in a B2B space and the 6 by 9s in more of a B2C space. Thinking being usually in the B2C, B2B space, it's again, usually a little bit more money. Usually we need to be a little bit more impactful in how we arrive. Because again, if you're a roofer and you're doing commercial roofs and you need to get in front of a building operations manager, or you need to get in front of a CFO or a decision maker, that may go through 2 or 3 sets of hands before it actually gets to the person that you need to get it to. So in the B2B space, if you're in that world, you know how difficult it is to get to a decision maker. And so, all this kind of stuff ensures to a higher degree that they're going to actually get to that decision maker. Because again, think about the size of some of your businesses, the people that are listening to this. When you first started out, it was you. And so to get to you wasn't very hard, right? Now maybe you've grown a little bit. Maybe you've got a receptionist or two. Maybe you have an assistant. Maybe you've got, 5 or 6 trucks running around. Now, how hard is it to get to you compared to what it was when you first started? That's it in every office. Every office has that environment where so again, I'm diatribing a little bit on the B2B side, but you got to get attention. And that's one of the ways, again, if you're going into that B2B space, it works very well there in addition to the consumer space.
Just so many different areas if you're willing to think outside the box and
Yeah.
have a little fun with this.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
if you do commercial roofing, I don't know the profit margins or the pricing for a warehouse roof versus a residential roof. I'm guessing it's pretty high compared to your average residential work. You can spend a little bit more money to get those folks, and they probably require it. So as you're building out your marketing, as you're thinking about the things that we can do, you know, where are the places where I can be a little unconventional to maybe see some greater results? And the great thing is, for most of this, you don't have to be sending out 1,000, 10,000, 50,000. I mean, it can be dozens for some people. I mean, again, in the B2B space, if you send out a couple dozen feet because you want to get their foot in the door, you only need like one of them at one point to say, sure, yeah, come in. And it's usually going to pay for itself many times over just that first acquisition, let alone what could happen down the road in the long-term value of that client.
So I will say that over the years I've had a lot of fun
Yeah.
mailing um out your various little fun things. And then you're such a great giver. You share sample letters all the time in your emails and in your newsletters and things. Sample letters to where you can kind of wrap your head around how can I make this work in my business, in my industry? Because me coming from more the accounting coaching
Mhm.
background, I look at some of your letters that you do and it's like, okay, this is to a furniture store. How can I make that work in my industry? And I'll sit down and start playing with the words. And
Yep.
pretty soon I've got it converted over. But you got it started. You're not sitting there looking at a blank piece of paper and
Hmm.
going, how am I going to mail this foot out?
Yep.
This is dumb. I shouldn't have even done this. Why did I do this? You've got something to start with.
Yeah, we tried it when we first started this business, we noticed right away that the biggest hurdle for most people was the copy and the creative, putting the thing together. They knew what their message was, they knew who their audience was, but dang it, having that cursor blanket you in Microsoft Word with a blank slate, that was the biggest hurdle for most of our customers. Because most of our customers and clients, they're working every day, right? They don't have necessarily a dedicated marketing department, right? It's
No.
usually a business owner. Maybe they've got somebody that helps around the office who is marketing capable, but not necessarily an expert in marketing. Now we do have some big. I was just working with an attorney client right before we jumped on, and he has a marketing department, and that's good for him. We're able to hammer out a direct mail piece real quick, but we try to give people, even for that person, we try to give them the things that they need to quickly turn it around. And so with the foot, we probably have 20 different foot letters in the in our hopper that, okay, you're a bill collector, you're receivables management is what they call it now, but you're receivables management, you're a roofer, you're a this, you're a that. Okay, I don't have you, but I got like a 2-degree version of you, like just and so here you go. And so we do try to make that as easy as possible for most business owners, because again, you're here's me in the marketing hat, here's me in the accounting hat, here's me in this hat, this to and like all in the same 7-minute stretch. So we try to make it as easy as possible.
And I know that from hanging out with you for so many years that you will even put it together and mail it for somebody. Because I'm sitting in the back of my head going, I hear a listener going, yeah, but I don't have time for this. I am
Yeah.
too busy. So
Yep.
tell us a little bit about how that part works.
Yeah, I mean, so when we first started, and how you were probably first introduced to us, is you needed 100 feet, we'll send you 100 feet. Good luck. Right. And then again, kind of like on the same lines of, well, we give them the letters. Then we got into okay, well, can we do the mailing for them? So now we have the ability to print on our high resolution commercial grade printer. We can do things so you get the lowest possible postage rates, because we've got programs that, you take it to the post office and they say it's $1, but we've got programs that make it 80 cents, right? Whatever it may be. And so we've got these things in place now where a few dozen to several thousand to tens of thousands, we can get that mail out for you. And so it didn't take us too long after that. After a few follow-up calls, they say, yeah, I still have those 100 feet sitting here in a box and I haven't done anything. Well, okay, that was great for me one time, but I'd love it if you could mail 100 feet every 6 weeks or every 6 days. That would be a lot more beneficial to me and you. So we can help with the graphic design, the printing, ultimately the complete, what we call complete fulfillment, mail, postage, putting it in whatever box or envelope or thing it needs. And the biggest thing, honestly, is we know the rules better than most postal workers. And so sometimes you might take a little foot or a little bank bag to the post office down the street and you've got 50 of them and you think you're going to get postage for all of them. And all of a sudden they tell you it's $12 and no, it should not be $12. We know all the rules. And not only that, we have a good relationship with the post offices in our area. And when we tell them that that's the right postage, they usually go, "Yeah, we know. We'll just take it." So that's you know, as 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 inefficient as the post office is in a retail setting, right? Where you go in and you buy stamps, you try to ship something, they're really inefficient at that. What they're really, really good at, world class ever, is getting that piece to in the mail to that person quickly and effectively. And they're, I mean, for all their ills, they're really, really, really good at that. Billions and billions of pieces, and almost statistically zero, almost ever get rerouted, not delivered. I mean, you hear about people saying, "Well, I sent that to you 2 weeks ago," and it's like, okay, that's one out of 700 million pieces of mail this week, right?
Yeah,
They are very good at getting your mail
they are.
delivered. But sometimes you got to tell them at the retail level, here's how it actually works.
I remember the first time I walked in with pill bottles, and the gal at the counter says, "You
Yeah.
can't mail those." I said, "Oh, yes, I can."
Yep.
And you had given a little blurb about what to say when you went
Yep.
into the post
Yep.
office, and I had that with me. I says, "Travis says,"
It's a
and
it's a
showed
first
it to
class
her.
mail package and it mails just like a tube mailer.
Yeah.
And when you use their words like that, then they get it. So
Yeah, she
that's
looked
another
at
reason to
me.
use us.
Yeah, she looked at me and she finally says, "Okay." And on they
Yep,
went.
you got it.
So, Travis, we are coming up on the time in this show when we want to unpack or uncover a hidden or unique profit leak. So, let me get my little profit
Yeah.
bucket up here and let's have you share with our listeners some sort of a unique or hidden profit leak that you see when you work with home service businesses. And let's see if we can't plug it.
Yeah, so it's a great question. And I don't think, well, I know this isn't exclusive to home services. So if you stumbled upon this and you're a banker, a dentist, I don't, any business this is happening to, and we kind of touched on it a little bit. Most businesses, most think they have a new customer problem, acquisition, getting people to ring the phone, call the phone, go visit a website. And yeah, there's businesses that have that problem, and we all need new customers all the time. Most of them drop the ball in either, and we talked about this a little bit with the worry doll, in either the conversion of that person, so getting the lead to give to getting a lead to give to become a customer, or in that getting that one-time customer to become a multi-time customer. Um, and that when I say multi-time, that could mean actually that customer needing you more than once, or it could be turning that customer into a satisfied, happy, referring customer, meaning every time you do get a customer, that customer goes and gets you two more. And so like I said, that's for most. Now, if you're in startup mode, you're just getting started, you don't have a bank of customers, all right, you need to go get customers and you need to get them and you need to get, checks in the mail and credit cards scanned and you need to get money in. But once you're beyond kind of that first little hump, I notice you have profits first up there, and I know Michael has that term for it when you get kind of past that first, profitable hump. Now it really becomes, how can we turn more of our people that are coming to us into first time customers and then first time into long time customers?
Right.
And that's really what I see, because everybody wants new customers, everybody wants new patients, everybody wants new everything. And oftentimes I'll look at them and say, you've got this list of 500 leads who called you, text you, visited your website, and they're just sitting there. Maybe we could do so. So that's, again, if you're in startup mode, go get customers. But if you're in that maturing and growing phase, it's the customers you lose or don't convert are probably the difference between you being, break even to kind of profitable to being very profitable. So how can you plug that hole in that bucket?
I'm going to add one more thing to it because as I work with these home service businesses,
Yeah.
most of them are not reaching out and re-engaging somebody who's already done business with them.
Yes.
You did a job for
Yes.
them last year or 6 months ago or 2 years ago, and they've forgotten who you are.
Hmm.
And so, how can we use this type of a program to get back in front of them, to catch their attention, to get them back into whatever it is you want them to do, whether it's, becoming a monthly subscriber to some of the membership programs that they've got running, or just re-engage and use your services again. And I always say there's so much gold in that customer list, especially if you're past that startup phase. There is gold in your
Yep.
customer list. And they're spending so much money and time and effort getting new customers that they're forgetting about that list that might be sitting in their CRM or sitting in their QuickBooks file or wherever it might
Yep.
be sitting. There's gold in that list. And what a fun way to start re-engaging people with some of these fun items that you have over at 3D Mail Results.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly the kind of stuff we're talking about, and it could be, you know, at first now you're past that startup phase. All right, maybe it's just an e-newsletter. Okay, and then maybe in 6 months it's a printed newsletter. Okay, we're going to send something in the mail. And then maybe in month 12 or 18 it's all right, we're going to create a system for when people reach certain benchmarks in time or in action, we're going to have things trigger that then, right? So again, we installed an HVAC system 12 months ago. Again, assuming 12 months is the right time to be contacting them again, we have a system in place to re-engage them. That's when you get from, kind of startup to growth to maturity is when you have those systems in place to, so yes, somebody may have to do something, but them remembering to do the something is an automated kind of systematized systematic way to do it. That's so even to take it a step farther, plugging those holes in that follow up and follow through, and then the A plus version of that is to have a way that it's kind of autopilot as much as possible.
So thank you again. That was a very significant profit leak that I see almost every time I
I
get a
bet.
peek into somebody's business is that one. So thank you, Travis, for coming and sharing this amazing information.
You bet.
I know that the listeners are going to be like, how do I find out more about Travis Lee and 3D mail results? Where can I find you?
Yeah, so you can go two different places I'll give you. You can go to our website and you can see the feet and you can see the pill bottles and you can go there. It's 3dmailresults.com. So the number three, the letter D, like three dimensional, 3dmailresults.com. You can see our products. You can kind of get some inspiration. You can see some of the templated letters that you were mentioning there. The second place you may want to go, and this is if you're new to novice level of direct mail. Hey, I know I need to use it. I'm not quite sure how to use it. I don't know all these different levers I can pull. We have a book. It's called The Simple Three-Step Process to Direct Mail Success. You can get that at my name, travisalee.com. And you can get a copy of that book. It's $2 or $3 for us to ship it to you. That's all there is. And that's going to be for that person. Hey, I know I need to use this. Um, I'm not sure how. When we talk about the three-step process. It's list, offer, media. So what list do you do? What do you tell them? And then how do you what and how do you mail? And if you can get those three things, that's all that direct mail is. List, offer, media. And so we talk about those three things in the book. Like I said, that's I think $3 right now at travisalee.com. You can pick up a copy.
Very good. Thank you again, Travis, for sharing this information, for coming and being on our
You bet.
program today. And thank you again, listeners. We've had some great topics and great guests this past year. We are growing by leaps and bounds with this podcast, and we owe it all to you. So, thank you for coming in every week and catching one of our episodes, and for not just catching the episode, but thank you for reaching out to my various podcast guests. I've had several of them report that you guys are reaching out to them and you're actually engaging them. So, thank you for
Perfect.
doing that. And we're going to call that a wrap on the Profitable Home Services podcast, and we will catch you on our next episode. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.